name's Helen Alexander. I'm a physiotherapist by background. I work right in the City of London, not far from here at all. I work for Nuffield Health, where part of my role is to lead a team that deliver cardiac rehabilitation. So exercise programs for people with all sorts of heart disease, including those with cardiomyopathy. Some of us, we could be concerned about the risk of progressing or worsening heart muscle disease we've already got. For many of us, there might be concerns about exercise leading to irregular heartbeats that in some situations could be dangerous or even fatal. And we know that for some, if exercise is done in sufficient volume or intensity, it might actually even lead to arrhythmias in previously normal hearts. You've probably heard already that for some people, they'll develop atrial fibrillation later in life if they've done big volumes of endurance training. So we should try and get the benefits, but we mustn't ignore the risks. Now, for those with arrhythmogenic cardiomyopathy, it's a bit of a different conversation. And the recommendations are generally more conservative and more restrictive, because we know that for some individuals with arrhythmogenic cardiomyopathy, then the progression of the disease can be linked to high volumes or intensities of exercise. So that we know that low intensity exercise is recommended for all, but you'll see the moderate is missing there. We would actually only consider going above lower intensity exercise if you're really very stable and not had any syncope or any symptoms. But if you're someone who has had symptoms, ectopics, arrhythmias, problems with the pumping function of your heart, then actually longer term you'd be better to avoid getting anything above mildly breathless, which is very hard to hear if you're someone who's been very active in the past, because that's quite a transition into a different level of activity. But we know that those people who continue bigger volumes of exercise or higher intensity exercise above a brisk walk can lead to a situation where they get an increase in their arrhythmias, they get progression of their muscle disease, or if they've got an implanted device, they start to get it firing appropriately more often, which of course is appropriate but not pleasant for them and can be very challenging. So I would suggest if you've got arrhythmic cardiomyopathy, it's a conversation with your cardiologist, but the recommendations are, on current evidence, that you avoid moderate and high intensity exercise.
This is a question for Helen. You said people with ARVC who've done a lot of exercise in the past, it can be very hard to hear that they can't exercise, and that would be my case because I've got a background in very high-level sport. But my cardiologist has persuaded me that all I'm allowed to do is walk at a moderate pace, so that's what I'm doing, heart controlled with a monitor on the whole time. But on your slide, you've got that 150 minutes, which is 5 30-minute walks. Provided I'm keeping the intensity down, is it all right to increase the duration?
It's a very good question. And the research would show that you'll fall into the lowest risk of progression of your disease and further arrhythmias if you can stay within the 150 minutes. I know. Not a message you want to hear, because we know it's not just about intensity, it's about volume of exercise. There will be days where you do more. I'm not saying don't ever go over 30 minutes a day. There will be moments where you do more, there'll be weeks where you're more active. But in general, if people with arrhythmogenic cardiomyopathy can keep their volumes within 150 minutes per week, and you can keep the intensity at moderate walking but no more, then you put yourself in the lowest possible risk. But it's shared decision making. For some people, the mental health benefits of doing more exercise will be so important to them that they'll take the chance of having slightly further progression of their disease, because for them it's so important. So I never tell anyone don't do, I never put absolute limits on things. It's a shared decision, and it's an informed choice about the levels of activity you continue to do.